So I'm here with the champ, GP Montreal champ.
Yeah, coming first, better than coming second. That's what I recommend. My first ever GP Top 8, GP Montreal 2011. I lost in the finals. I have a plaque still from that one. Finally, my most recent GP Top 8, also Montreal, first place. The cycle is continued because this might actually be the last GP I ever play. So,
Whoa,
kind of crazy to think about.
why is that?
Well, just there's not that incentive to play them anymore with being an MPL. There's not too much to play for without pro points. I don't have to travel around and play them. So this is my second GP of the year. I played a team GP earlier. And yeah, I mean, I wasn't really not going to GP. Like, I didn't even go to a GP Toronto, which normally would snap up. But the fact that I can just like walk to this GP potentially, it's a big factor. And yeah, got there. How did you finish at the GP, KYT?
I opted not to play. Got a lot of
Got a lot of slack for that?
no, got a lot of family stuff to do, but despite the family stuff I had to take care of, I had enough time to pop in Friday, Saturday, Sunday for a few hours and get some footage.
Got to see the finals. It was sick. I had a lot of insane games in this event. This format is long, grindy, a lot of decisions, and there's a lot of spots where you can maneuver things out.
I'm conflicted though. So I tweeted out that I felt the format was effing slow.
I saw that.
Just because of you're talking about like the PTQs taking forever. I walk back. It's like still the same match, still same game. At the same time, this is why I'm conflicted. Watching you, your game with Rob, you mentioned game 3. We'll get into a bit of that. How he said he told me in private message he got owned by you, and then it did seem like in the finals your opponent not knowing all the cards that he could play around, or just did lines that were not the optimal lines and lost because of that. So it made me feel like, okay, it's super long, but that increases the amount of decisions, increases the skill cap. So I'm conflicted. I don't know how to feel. Like, should I love it or you? Of course,
I'm super biased, right? I played one tournament with the set and I won. So I went undefeated in draft, which was sweet. Like, I think I did like 2 drafts before basically, and there's a lot of things you can do. A lot of cool synergies. Like, even my deck that I won the top 8 with, I didn't think was that good, but it played out a lot better than I thought it was. Like, there were a lot of food synergies, and the fact that I had like some late game card like the Troll King to enable the fact that I have all these food that I'm incidentally gaining, like, makes it an unbeatable threat really going late. And just, you get so much time because of all this food, you can keep gaining life, and it makes it hard for people to like all in attack you in the mid game, where you get to be able to block and kill a couple other creatures, and you can afford to take that hit. They have to really be able to push a lot of damage through. And it makes things interesting, a lot more combat math and life total math, because, do you hold up mana to be able to sack your thing? Oh, it's actually a combat trick that you have instead. And yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I had a lot of really, really, really good games, like against Rob Anderson in the top 8, but also when we played in the Swiss. And I had some other great matches. I mean, the one match I lost I thought was pretty good too, in the sealed portion. And, like, a lot of the games, it just comes down to a couple key draw steps. Like, with Adventure, people don't usually run out of things to do. And then, again, food tokens make people able to survive a little bit longer in mid-game. But I think you can still be aggressive. Getting on a board is important. And, because people don't run out of gas as much, having permanence does stuff. But maybe we'd talk more about this in
on the table for two
podcast.
High level, not too much high level here, but it was like you mentioned the combat map. It was not just you. Well, you had a great poker face, but when your opponent had 3 creatures, like in the final game or in multiple games, like he had to really stress out to attack well, and I would be the same in that spot, and it was just like you said, a lot of combat math has to be done, and it was complicated.
Hard, yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're attacking for this much damage, taking this much damage. Your opponent's making like a food every turn and sacking it. So how much does that add up to? Cards like Revenge of Ravens. Is it worth attacking with the 2/2? Because you're getting 1 damage to you and 1 damage to your opponent, right? It's actually like effectively breaking even there. Obviously attacking with the 1/1's bad, but then at one point does it happen like they can chump block and then suddenly you just can't attack anymore? There's all sorts of cool things like that happening, and sweet synergies. Like my second draft deck today, I played Bartered Cow. Do you know what that card does? It's a white 3/3 creature for 3 colors and a white. Then when it dies or you discard it, you create a food token.
Okay.
I was playing a blue-red deck. I didn't have a single planes or whatever in my deck. I was never planning to cast that cow. I was just always going to discard it just to make a food token. I had like 7 different ways to discard it, because in my deck, at some point, I combo off basically with Mad Ratter, which and the Sage, the 5-drop that whenever a non-human comes into play, you can loot. So I was making a whole bunch of rats and looting through my deck, and at that point, I just could die to a flyer, so I put that card in my deck so I can gain 3 life to be able to race versus potentially an opponent attacking.
Wow, so it was good.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I also could in theory play the instant speed Tormenting Voice on turn 2, and then turn 3 Animating Fairy, the food. So there's the fact that I hadn't even thought of really playing that. I thought it was a little bit of a joke, but it was actually just great, and it's little things like that. And I think there's still a lot more to discover in this format, and it's pretty cool. Definitely, though, on the grindier side for the most part. Some games are incredibly grindy, but that's how I like them.
So it's like overall you think Wizards did a good job with this. Like we had talked about the trick of, we had discussed how to make limited more skillful, and you found they did a good job.
I mean, it feels pretty good. I think there's still some cards that are really, really powerful and hard to beat, but if you don't have those, then I think limited gets a little boring and repetitive. So even though my win rate would increase if they didn't have bomb rares, I think they're a good thing.
I will finish with this bit. We had a listener come up to us and say he loved Table for 2 and that it changed how he's considered sideboarding in limited. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, game 3 against our friend Rob Anderson, you used a different sideboarding to completely throw him off. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I mean, my main deck was green black food, and long grindy games were what I was planning to do, where I stabilized the board and then finally grind out with things. But Rob's deck was even better at the grinding plan. He had a sick mono black deck, but he was light on flyers, so I basically boarded in a white splash, just 2 planes. I already had 3 free sources with Goose and 2 of the 3-drop that adventures to add a mana of any color, and I brought in 3 white flying creatures, and just curved out on him and smashed him in the air, and he was very good at gumming up the ground and grinding out things like that, but he just didn't have enough removal spells for my flyers, and he died.
Did he say anything? He actually felt like he
said he complimented me on the sideboarding. I mean, I think that I kind of had to do that, and in the finals I actually boarded out my black entirely for more white cards because I could be more aggressive, and I had a disenchant which seemed really good against my opponent, and again the flyers could pressure them while we're racing while they're attacking with me ginger brutes. So that was the plan.
All right, we'll finish up. We celebrated a fine dinner in Chinatown with this guy,
Sergio Ferri, the man, the myth, the legend.
Hello.
What was your favorite moment? What was your favorite card that Alex played in the finals?
Troll King. So good.
Oh, the troll's great, and I mean, it would be off-brand for me if I wasn't trolling people in the top 8 of the Grand Prix. So
Right. All right. That's it for the champ, and catch our next podcast. Table for two.
Table for two.